Hi, everybody. Well, it is shortly after 4 o'clock, and the rain is pretty much over. There are some showers right now lingering out in the gorge on this Tuesday afternoon, but otherwise the sunshine is increasing. We're in the 60s, and we are turning the corner for what will be a couple of dry days. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill, coming to you from the Portland, Vancouver area. And if you've been following me for a number of years, you've no doubt seen one of my winter outlooks and maybe tracked along with me how my forecast was going. And I've noticed in the comments over the past several weeks that a lot of you were making, or at least some of you were saying, boy, not the El Nino I was expecting, or El Ninos have changed, or it wasn't, it wasn't typical. So I thought we'd go back real quick now that it's kind of a quieting weather pattern and take a look at what my projection was for this past winter based on El Nino, which was in fact strong at times, and see exactly how it did play out. So we'll call this my report card as we look forward to what's going on this winter, or this past winter. So this is going to be a mix of some of the slides that I used for my winter outlook this past winter, and then kind of a report card of how we did. So one of the points when we talked last October into early November was that I was looking at several wild card months, meaning months that don't really fit the stereotypical norms. And one of those El Nino wild card months I was looking at was December of 2015. It was the wettest month we've ever had in Portland, 15.24 inches, crazy. We had flooding in Klamath and Vernonia. We had a tornado that winter in December. We had a very mild December, 3 degrees above normal. So if you look at this, you're like, okay, that was an El Nino December. It was warm, it was mild, it was also crazy wet, right? Well, that crazy wetness is one reason why I said there was really no confidence to tell you if we were going to have a wet winter, a normal winter, or a dry winter. With strong El Ninos, which was the projection, the stereotype, the overall averages, if you will, show a dry winter season. Now, it turns out I was smart not to take that bait and to tell you that I wasn't sure. There was certainly enough wild card El Nino months in the past that we could end up being wet. And indeed we were. So here are what I thought, looking back, were the biggest headlines of this winter rainy season, November through March for us. Certainly, do you remember this? The really mild December. To me, that was one of the big headlines. It turned out, mean temperature wise, to be the second warmest December on record out of PDX. The mean temperature was 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And I'll show you in a moment how close that was to my actual projection. But that was one of the big headlines to me. A wet December, 8.73 inches. Now, I didn't see this, but I did put the shout out that we could have one of these really wet months. And indeed, we got a wet month in December, 8.73. Reminds you of the 2015 El Nino December. That month had an atmospheric river that gave us 44 hours of steady rainfall, December 4th through the 6th. Portland got drenched. The Willapa Hills up in Washington had nearly 14 inches of rain come down. And there was some flooding, especially up in that section of Washington, with some of the rivers draining out into the coast. So I thought that was a big headline looking back that will be in the record books, of course, now forever. And the other big headline came in the month of January. The only month that was colder than normal last month, an Arctic freeze that I did not see an Arctic freeze lasting long enough and cold enough that it would actually take any of the past winter months and drive the average below normal. But that's what happened in January. That was the one glaring miss in my winter outlook. We had that Arctic freeze January 12th through the 18th. It was in that time frame that PDX picked up 1.6 inches of snow, and we had two separate ice events that dumped freezing rain of anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to just under an inch in parts of our area. We had some sleet mixed into that as well. But so those were the big headlines as I look back. Now, with all of that said, let's take a look at how I did. Well, back in October, early November, I said every single month was going to be above normal. That was a high confident call for me. Turned out that I was nearly correct. November above normal, December above normal, February above normal, March above normal, but not January. There's that glaring miss. Total precipitation, well, can't really give myself much of a grade because my confidence was I didn't really have confidence, but I was telling you that it could be wet, which would go against the norm of El Nino. So for that, heads up, I gave myself a positive check mark. In fact, our water year going back to October 1st is still running a surplus of more than 5 inches above normal. That's basically an extra month of winter precip that we put in the gauge. This was maybe one of the biggest feathers in my cap as a forecaster looking back this past winter. We said, again, back late October, early November, that the El Nino that we were in did not favor snow in Portland. In fact, we were either going to get not a single snowflake in Portland, or at most, we would get 3 inches. And I said that could come in one event, or it could come in maybe 1, 2, or 3 little, bits of an inch of snow at a time. Well, that turned out to be a good projection because the winter snow total goes in the books at 1.6. I came back in January in one event. And what was the most impressive about this was I said no snow in Portland or very little in Portland itself. But the forecast did favor a heightened chance of ice, sleet, and freezing rain. Or if you remember, when Portland had 1.6 inches of snow in January, over half of what came down that day was sleet. And then we had freezing rain in the city that came a couple days later. So the projection of more in Portland specific of more ice than snow actually turned out to be exactly on the money. That was a really good forecast call. Now, if you live up in Southwest Washington, like I do, you didn't get the ice. You had snow, probably 6 inches. I think there were 8-inch snow amounts. But again, the winter outlook for that data was specific to Portland. Now, the El Nino projection from NOAA absolutely came true. So looking back, was it really an El Nino? You may be thinking, well, I mean, it was an El Nino. In fact, it was a moderate to strong El Nino. And I do want to take a second away from talking about what I said last winter to give you a real quick update on what the ENSO cycle is moving forward, which is, are we going to be in La Nina, neutral, or El Nino? So you may have heard that we are now in the process of transitioning out of El Nino. So this is the forecast projection from NOAA. And if you look down here, here is this April. So if you come up here in April, we're down, you have to be 0.5 degrees Celsius above normal where they check the water temperatures in equatorial parts of the Pacific. So we're right there this month. We're weakening out of El Nino. And then going into the months of May and June, look over here, we'll be in neutral, which is what this is showing. There's the average water temperature 0. And we'll stay in neutral, perhaps into July. But in July, once you get 5 degrees, or excuse me, a half a degree, 0.5 Celsius or colder, now you transition out of neutral into La Nina. That happens perhaps by the end of July. And right here we are. There's May, June. Here's June, July, August. See, now we're 0.5 to 1 degree colder than normal. Now we're firmly in La Nina. And that La Nina, this goes all the way into October, November, December. That La Nina will stay with us at least through the end of this calendar year, which is, a good chunk of the winter season. And if you look down here, approaching 1.5 degrees or even colder in some of the models, just like that, that could be a moderate to strong La Nina projection. Now, remember, La Ninas, more than any other phase, statistically favor a good, solid Mount Hood snowpack. Maybe not the biggest, but La Nina to La Nina to La Nina, it's unusual not to have a good Mount Hood snowpack, and for the most part, a good water year period. So that's good news for us. So that's the latest on what NOAA is reporting on that. Okay, these are all slides I showed you, again, the last part of October into November. Big story here was high confidence. You look back at La Nina season since 2000, 13 to 15 months were above normal. Well, we didn't really hurt that overall average that month because we went, out of the big months of November, December, January, February, March, 4 out of those 5 were above normal. Only January was colder than normal. So, that was good information going in, right? All right. This was the money chart. We talked about snow range, nothing to 3 inches, better chance of freezing rain. We now know that was a really good forecast projection. Total rainfall, a wild card. Well, take it for what it is, but A lot of the projections last October into November nationally from NOAA and the National Weather Service and other private forecasters had us in a normal to below normal category, which was not correct. We were above normal. We at least opened the door for that possibility. This was kind of a miss, or it was a miss. We didn't really have, I thought there was a heightened chance of us having some significant wind episodes, which we did not. I checked the record book, and at PDX, the highest wind gust over the winter months was a gust of 47 miles per hour. So yeah, we had some windy days, but didn't really get the wind that I thought we might, which is good. Good news, right? All right. So again, back to my temperature projections. November, I said 2 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. The actual was just over a half a degree above normal. Got the category right, above normal. December, this was another big feather in my cap. Said it would be the warmest month in terms of temperature departure of the winter season. Oh boy, was it. 4 degrees was my projection. 4.5 is what we had. So that's really A+ work right there. January, here's my F. That's the 1 month I missed. I thought we could have some cold Arctic outbreaks, and I talked about that, but I didn't think we'd have one last long enough and cold enough that it would alter the entire month mean temperature. And I was wrong. January finished up 1.6. February said 3 degrees above, 2.1. That's A work. Really good. March, normal. Actual 1.7. That's okay. And what's interesting, if you look at the trends, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. Well, maybe a little. But if you look at the trends, November +2. I said December would be warmer. It was. I said January would be colder. It was. Didn't think it'd be that cold. And then however cold January was, we thought February would be warmer. It was. And however cold February or warm February was, we thought March would not be as warm, and it wasn't. So actually, if you just go trend to trend to trend to trend to trend, it was all right. This is not easy to do. Trust me, I spent hours and hours and hours and hours of countless weeks trying to put together the most accurate pinpoint winter projection that I can for our area. Again, back to that, no confidence in precipitation, no big snow, freezing rain chance elevated, all good information that we projected. Now, El Nino years for Mount Hood, we talked about this, average of 76% of normal snowpack. And then when I looked at some further data, I clarified my projection, and this will be measured at the end of this month, April 30th, May 1st. And I said we'd have 74% of average snowfall, which is not a great year, but not a bad year. Well, I will tell you, we're going to outperform that because as of today's date, we're at 85% of normal snowpack on Mount Hood. That might fall a little bit, but it's not going to get down to 74% of average, I don't think. So really, for El Nino season, it's a pretty healthy year. The one part that I did get a big feather in my cap on was we talked about in great deal with that mild December projection, that it could be a really slow start to the snow season for skiers and boarders, that the holiday season through Christmas and New Year's would probably not be good. And it could be one of those years, and I said these words, that you go up there in Christmas week and there's literally not an inch of snow on the ground at government camp. We said no more than 20 inches, and it could be nothing. Well, that turned out to be a really good call. The snow season got going pretty much after the New Year's holiday. Okay, so that is a look back. And what I want you to take from that, I want your eyes on me for a second. What I want you to take from that is, I get it. We had a roller coaster kind of up and down December. We had the really, or winter, we had the really mild atmospheric river December. And then we had the cold Arctic ice and some snow and sleet in January. And you don't think about that perhaps being El Nino. But if you throw out the length and the severity of that cold that we had in January, the rest of the El Nino projections that I made were pretty much on track. And the only conclusion you can make is that for the most part, our winter, which is now over, did stick fairly close to what El Nino statistics and research show that it would. So with the crazy, every now and then you get a wet El Nino, we had it. The only thing that was kind of an outlier again was how cold and how long that Arctic air lasted in January. So I just thought that was interesting. You know, we all get these stereotypes for La Nina, neutral, and El Nino. And there's a reason. Stereotypes typically are tied to averages or what typically happens. But I went out of my way in the winter outlook to talk about the fact that, you know, El Ninos can have extreme ranges, and we had that mixed in December. And then we also had that mixed in January. Okay, what's going on? Well, I talked about it's really nice out there right now. So, real quick look at the 7 day. We have some quiet weather coming up. Tomorrow's all about the sun. There is a frost advisory from the National Weather Service for parts of the Willamette Valley and parts of Southwest Washington, mainly up in elevation. But dew points are in the 30s tonight and will be mainly clear with light winds. So, I would cover up any tender vegetation you may have put out that you don't want to be in, say, mid 30s. I think there will be parts of the valley in Southwest Washington dip to at least 36 tonight. Could be a spotty 32 or 33-degree temperature. I've got Portland at 39. After that chilly start, though, we go nuts tomorrow, 70 the high. Thursday, still dry. Clouds increase 66. Then that front on Friday, this doesn't look to be a ton of rain, but there will be scattered showers of up the temperature to 61. This is a change from 24 hours ago. Saturday, now dry. That system that produces Friday's showers quickly drops all the way down into California. That gives us a dry Saturday. The next weather front comes in from the northwest. I think it's possible we would have a scattered shower on Sunday, but if you have Sunday plans, there's at least a 50-50 bet right now. The Sunday stays dry. So that's a shower chance. We might be dry. And if we're dry, we'll be up into the 60s, warmer than I show here. And then all the models either bring in cold air with likely rain on Monday or Tuesday. Some of them keep Monday dry. The others show that front comes in on Monday. So somewhere in Monday, Tuesday, we're going to get back into some heavier showers with the cooler weather. That's the way it looks right now, without question. And just a real quick look, we've got some showers in the gorge. There's Cathedral Ridge Winery. It still looks like there's some showers, but if you look at the live camera, Sun River, beautiful day. Outside of the gorge, there's Elk Ridge Golf Course in Carson. We have sun. There's Three Rivers up in Kelso. There's Portland. There's the Otter Crest. Really, really nice weather. Current temperatures out there. Let's jump up to Seattle real quick. Tomorrow's dry across the entire region. This shows a rain chance later in the day in Seattle on Thursday. A dry Saturday, a chance of rain Sunday. And temperatures 50s to a couple 60-degree days in there mixed in. Let's go down to Medford. I'm going to kind of breeze through this because I know I've been talking for a while. Sunshine 57 tomorrow. Not as warm as we'll be up here in the northern part of Oregon, but Friday's still dry. Or excuse me, Thursday. And then you've got some likely showers coming in on Friday. And then with that weather system that drops to the south that leaves Portland dry on Saturday, there is the chance of some showers down in southern Oregon over the weekend, as you can see right there. And again, you can find this map on my weather site, portlandweather.com. There's Ben's forecast. Really nice over there today. More sun tomorrow, 67. Thursday nearing 70. What a great day. And then a chance of showers on Friday over there. And that leads into a chance of showers. Really, the weekend to me in Central Oregon looks to be mainly dry and partly sunny with temps in the 60s. And again, there is Portland's 7-day forecast. There's no, yeah, did I show you government camp? There's no problems with the passes. It was chilly up at Timberline today. 33. Meadows was 35. They had some flurries, but really no accumulating snow. It's going to be warmer up there in the 50s of pass level tomorrow and Thursday. There's government camp, all wet, 42. Of course, all the passes are in good shape. So, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed kind of taking a look back and clarifying what we had for the winter, what will go in the record book compared to what I said would happen. Thanks for watching my videos. I'm Rod Hill, and I'll talk to you soon.